The Las Vegas Aces, the self-proclaimed unstoppable dynasty of the WNBA, just got humbled in front of the entire basketball world. A 27-point thrashing? Check. A'ja Wilson getting every friendly whistle imaginable and still failing spectacularly. Big check. Chelsea Gray, who some folks absurdly insist is better than Caitlin Clark, vanishing when it mattered most. The biggest check of all. While A'ja was busy yanking players down from behind and somehow escaping fouls, there was a squad in Indianapolis ready to give her a masterclass on what genuine, team-first, high-IQ basketball actually looks like. Because that 81-54 clinic the Indiana Fever put on wasn't merely a loss for Vegas. It was a proclamation. A neon billboard lit up in bright fever red saying, no amount of handouts from the refs, no heroic stat padding from Wilson, and absolutely no dynasty hype was going to bail them out when Indiana decided to lock in and play real connected basketball. Now let's zero in on the moment this showdown really got spicy. In the third quarter, Lexie Hull, who's been a model of grit and improvement all year long, boxed out Wilson so perfectly it could be clipped for a coaching video. She carved out space, put her backside exactly where it needed to be, and snagged that rebound like she's done 1,000 times in practice. Textbook stuff. But in came A'ja Wilson from behind, literally reaching over Lexie's shoulders and arms to claw for the ball in a move so blatant it belongs in a what not to do highlight reel. Ask anyone who's watched even a single AAU game, and they'll tell you that's an over-the-back foul Indiana ball. Play on. Case closed. But the refs, they decided to rewrite the rulebook on live TV. Somehow, against all logic, they called it a jump ball. Like Wilson was equally entitled to that rebound after bulldozing Hull from behind. But this was a big win for the Fever because the Aces were the only team that they had not won at least one game to last season, meaning the Aces swept the Fever last season. They actually haven't won a game against the Aces in 16 games. And they did it without Caitlin Clark. This team is crazy. They are beating the number one team in the league first, and then they go and beat the Aces, who they haven't won to in 16 games. And they did it without Caitlin Clark, which is just a testament to how this team is finally developing a rhythm. Even the broadcast crew couldn't hide their shock. Their commentary wavered between stunned silence and awkward chuckles as they struggled to process what was unfolding. The contact was obvious. The violation couldn't be clearer. Yet somehow these officials decided to neutralize it in a way that outright rewarded the player who committed the foul. But here's where it gets downright poetic. The Indiana Fever didn't crumble or pout. They didn't let shaky officiating ruin their momentum. They shrugged it off, tightened their laces, and proceeded to absolutely dismantle the Aces so completely that every questionable call faded into complete irrelevance. Let's break down exactly how Indiana turned what could have been a momentum swing for Vegas into a one-sided showcase of beautiful basketball. It's having everyone coming in with a level of focus every day. Just right now knowing that, we do have a target on our backs and making sure that we're locked in on everything we're doing in practice. But I think we're taking that energy that we have, that fun, that lightheartedness into practice because at the end of the day, this is a game. We want to have fun, and I think we play our best basketball. We're playing free and having fun and being joyful, and I'm playing together. From the opening quarter, Indiana was in full attack mode. They rattled off the first 6 points and just kept punching. By the end of one, they were up 21-14. Already you could feel this game slipping away from Vegas. Indiana shot nearly 53%, held the Aces to under 29%, and manhandled them 16-4 in paint points. But it was in the second quarter that the Fever went for the jugular. They outscored Vegas 25-10. That's not a typo. 25-10. Indiana shot a jaw-dropping 82% from the field, while Vegas clanked their way to just 24%. The Fever went 6 for 6 in the paint. The Aces, a pitiful 3 of 13. By halftime, it was 46-24, and let's be honest, game over. And that controversial jump ball, it came right when Vegas needed a miracle to claw back. The refs essentially tossed them a bone, handing them a possession they didn't earn and offering a chance to change the flow. For the Fever, it was one of those dreaded moments. Oh boy, here we go again. You could almost sense that quiet frustration. Lexie Hull did everything right, textbook fundamental basketball, and still didn't get rewarded. Those are the kinds of moments that rattle young teams, especially when you're playing a decorated opponent like the Aces. For Vegas, that gift from the refs was a desperate gasp of oxygen. Down big, searching for any spark, suddenly they got handed a 50-50 ball that was anything but. And for a fleeting second, it looked like maybe, just maybe, the officiating might start propping up the defending champs, but Indiana wasn't having it. The lead swelled to 68-47 heading into the fourth. And that final quarter, it was an outright humiliation. The Aces managed just 7 points in the entire period. That's not professional offense, that's a complete systems meltdown. The 81-54 final score almost flatters Las Vegas. The reality was Indiana took them apart piece by piece, and we have to linger for a second on A'ja Wilson's so-called big game. Sure, she dropped 29 points on 9 of 18 shooting and feasted at the line, going 11 of 13. On paper, that's superstar stuff. Until you realize she shot nearly as many free throws as the entire Indiana roster combined. The whistles were so friendly they might as well have come gift-wrapped. Yet with all that charity from the refs, the supposed best player in the world finished a whopping 27 points in the hole. A'ja Wilson, she got a favorable whistle in the second half, but it is what it is. Superstars get the whistle. Unless your name is, 29 points for A'ja Wilson, 3 boards, 3 personal fouls, 3 turnovers, 9 for 18 from the field goal, from the field, 11 for 13 from the free throw line. Look at the rest of her team. 2 points, 2 points, 2 points, 6 points, 0 points, 4 points, 2 points, 3 points. Dana Evans, 1 for 10. Dana Evans. Oh my goodness. Just pause and soak that up. The league's crown jewel put up a glitzy stat line. And it meant absolutely nothing, because the rest of the Aces looked completely lost. Chelsea Gray ghosted the entire game, and the Indiana Fever played like a squad on a mission to torch the dynasty narrative for good. And through it all, Caitlin Clark, Lexie Hull, and the Fever weren't just executing a game plan. They were rewriting the power structure of the league on live television. Lexie Hull didn't let that missed call define her night. She locked in even harder, chased rebounds with a vengeance, and made A'ja work for every single inch. Caitlin Clark, ever the conductor, orchestrated the offense, spaced the floor, and ignited fast breaks that left the Aces spinning. So let's break down the brutal reality for the so-called dynasty in Las Vegas. Outside of A'ja Wilson's 9 for 18 shooting night, the rest of the Aces combined to go a pitiful 7 of 43 from the field. That's a laughable 16.3% shooting clip from literally everyone else on the roster. No other ace even cracked 6 points. Let that marinate for a second. This is a team hyped up as having unmatched depth, and their MVP candidate was basically stuck playing 1-on-5 while her co-stars vanished like Houdini under the Fever's relentless pressure. Like I said, the referees were starting to get on the side of the Aces. They were trying to wheel the Aces back in. And Sophie Lexie stepped in and sort of killed it. Kelsey Mitchell never took her foot off the gas tonight, by the way. This is the best thing I've seen from Stephanie White all season long. Right here. She was aggravated by the refs already, and in the fourth quarter, 5:35 left, Stephanie White lost her shit on the sideline. She lost her shit. Now, speaking of the supporting cast that was supposed to help out, can we take a minute to highlight Chelsea Gray? Because this is the same Chelsea Gray that some folks out there swear is somehow better than Caitlin Clark. Well, the box score tells a different, less flattering story. Gray wrapped up her night with 2 measly points on 1 of 3 shooting, managed just 2 assists, and racked up 5 ugly turnovers. That's right, 2 points. This is the seasoned floor general who's supposed to orchestrate the offense and elevate everyone around her. Instead, she looked like she was wading through mud while the Fever's swarming defense gobbled up every sloppy pass and forced her into mistake after mistake. Guard with more turnovers than points and assists combined. More turnovers than points and assists combined. We got point guard, aka point fraud, and remember, this is probably who the WNBA player said was also better than Caitlin Clark. They said I'm pretty confident they said she was better than Caitlin Clark. Meanwhile, let's pivot to what Caitlin Clark was doing. From the bench, mind you. While Chelsea Gray was out there contributing absolutely zilch, Clark was lighting up the sideline, pumping up teammates, and leading with her voice even while injured. The cameras kept catching her fired up, exploding out of her seat after big plays, staying engaged on every possession. That's leadership you can't teach. That's the sort of presence that makes a team believe, even when you're not logging a single minute. Clark might not have been padding her stat line, but she was 100% impacting winning. To really put it on, right here you could say 24 points in the first half for the Aces. I mean, seriously, for the Aces. Points in the paint, 38-20. I mean, it was a dominant win by the Indiana Fever. And speaking of winning, the Fever's performance without their franchise star was a basketball symphony. Kelsey Mitchell went off, dropping 25 points to go along with 6 dimes. Aaliyah Boston was an absolute force, adding 20 points and 7 boards, showing why she's one of the most polished bigs in the league. Natasha Howard, she played like she was on a personal mission to humble the Aces, posting 11 points and 10 rebounds and grabbing the Commissioner's Cup MVP for her efforts. This was the definition of balanced offense, unselfish play, and big-time execution under pressure. But if you really want the story of the game, forget the scoring totals. This was about defense. Indiana's defense was so airtight it could have kept out the Vegas Heat. They held the mighty Aces to just 26% shooting. That's their worst offensive showing all season long. They forced a ridiculous 17 turnovers, controlled the paint with a 28-10 advantage in the first half alone, and played defense so connected it seemed like they shared a single brain. Every switch was sharp. Every help rotation was on time. It was team basketball clinic stuff. The Aces tried to put a little run together to start the third quarter, and Sophie Cunningham and Lexie Hall shut that shit down. They shut it down by hitting some big shots. All right, that steal led to the only 2 points that Sophie Cunningham had, and the eye test, it backed up every brutal stat. While Wilson was tossing up 29 points that looked shiny on a personal highlight reel but meant absolutely nothing, the Fever were calmly dismantling every so-called adjustment the Aces tried to throw at them. They moved the ball with crisp passes, turned defense into transition gold, and executed their sets like a seasoned playoff squad. Meanwhile, Asia's buckets felt like empty calories, flashy on the sheet, but her team was still down by nearly 30 when the final horn sounded, and through it all, there was Caitlin Clark on the sideline, absolutely living it up. Her joy was so pure it spread through the entire team. Every camera cut to her showed someone who was locked in, celebrating every hustle play, every made three, every forced turnover like it was the championship game. Contrast that with the Aces bench, which looked like a funeral procession. Slumped shoulders, blank stares, no answers. They couldn't figure out how they'd let it spiral so badly. What this game really did was shine a glaring spotlight on a truth that's been bubbling under the surface all year. These Las Vegas Aces are not the unstoppable juggernaut they keep telling themselves they are. Their chemistry is off, their confidence is shaken, and when it gets tough, they fold. They're a shell of the squad that once scared the league. And the Fever, they didn't just capitalize. They put their foot on the gas and never let up. They didn't squeak by with a feel-good upset. They demolished Vegas in a way that screamed, "We're built for this moment, and you're not." Team win, folks. Team win. And you notice the team win, like I said. 24 assists on 31 shots. 24 assists on 31 shots. The Indiana Fever hold the Las Vegas Aces to 26% from the field. 26%. This was a Fever defense smoldering. The Aces weren't just missing shots. The Fever defense was all over the place. Defensively, we were all over the place. Neither team could hit a three, except for Kelsey Mitchell. Money Mitch can hit the three. And let's circle back to Asia Wilson for a second. Sure, she got all the help in the world from the referees. She pulled down players from over their heads and somehow ended up with jump balls instead of fouls. She strutted to the free throw line 13 times, only 4 fewer than the entire Fever roster combined. And yet, despite all the officiating charity, the so-called best player in the world drops 29 points that couldn't change the one stat that mattered. A final scoreboard that read, Indiana 81, Las Vegas 54. That's the ultimate humiliation. Wilson's gaudy numbers were basically just expensive wallpaper on a crumbling house. The Indiana Fever sent a seismic message with this game. They're not afraid of names on the back of jerseys, not intimidated by MVP resumes, and certainly not going to wilt under the bright lights or from suspect officiating. They've got legitimate chemistry, real fight, and the kind of collective belief that championship teams are forged from. Meanwhile, the Aces, they'd better hurry up and figure out who they want to be. Because what this blowout exposed is that they're no longer the gold standard. They're no longer the inevitable champs waiting to be crowned. The Indiana Fever have officially snatched that hype away. And they did it without Caitlin Clark even needing to lace up. So here's the bottom line for the rest of the WNBA. All the friendly whistles and highlight reels in the world won't save you when you run into a team that plays connected, fearless basketball. The Fever just changed the hierarchy. They've arrived, and they're planning to stay. And if they can dismantle the Aces like this without Caitlin Clark on the floor, just imagine what's waiting once she's back, running the show, dropping logo threes, and orchestrating like only she can.